Hi, continuing my series on learning about animals, thus learning to have respect, compassion, and care for conservation. Today, we're going to talk about parrots and turkeys. Now, this is about my 11th video covering different animals. I've covered everything from elephants to dinosaurs to rhinoceroses to kangaroos to chickens to cows to horses. And I'm going to cover some more. Throw some ideas in the comments and subscribe, please. But today we're going to talk about parrots and turkeys. First, parrots. There's about 372 type of species and subspecies. They typically live in tropical areas in warmer climates, although there's some outliers. They're typically bright colors, which most people know them, that and for their talking or repeating back, echoing. They're one of the smartest birds, although all birds are smarter than we give them credit for. They eat seeds, fruits, nectar, flowers, and occasionally insects. So they're mostly herbivores, though, for the most part. They can live up to 80 years old, although 35 to 50 years old is typical, which makes it a huge commitment if they're pets, which I strongly urge against, and I'll go into that later. There's 21 different type of species of cockatoo alone. The ones that are typically kept for pets are the Bulgarian, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, Budgerigar, and the budgie, Budgie, is the short term for it. Those are the typical pets. Why I discourage clipping the wings is not humane. Their freedom to fly and stuff is one of their natural abilities. We shouldn't take it away. It's their freedom. They're very sensitive to chemicals, like house cleaners. Many die that way. So all types of birds probably are not the best pets because of the freedom. They're sensitive and they're sociable creatures. They want to have like species to socialize with. Some of the species are actually endangered. About 1/3 of them are endangered of the 372 type of species in the family. And these are because of the pet trade, poaching, and logging or deforestation due to human overpopulation. Now their feet have actually 4 toes, 2 in the back and 2 in the front, so they can grip onto things very well, like a tree branch or whatever. They taste with the top of their mouth rather than the tongue. They can learn up to 1,700 words as recorded by the Guinness records, 1,700 words. By the parakeet in 1995. They sing, but most birds do sing, and some of them migrate. So now let's talk about the turkey. First of all, wild versus domestic. There's 2 types of turkeys. There's wild turkeys and domestic. Domestic is typically come from factory farms, like nearly all chickens and birds, which are very awful and cruel. Turkeys have about 20 vocalizations. They can recognize each other by their voices. They're highly intelligent as well. They have social bonds just like dogs. They learn detailed geography of their habitat of up to 1,000 acres. So they know where things are and are arranged, places to hide, places to eat, nest, and such. As peacocks, they puff their bodies, also like gorillas, the herbivore, and feathers to attract a mate. Baby turkeys are called poults, P-O-U-L-T-S, in case I'm not pronouncing it right. They stay in their flock for the first year of their life, typically. In the first couple of weeks, they can't fly, so they can't go up into a tree for safety, so the mother stays down with them to care for them. Wild turkeys can fly 55 miles per hour. Factory farm birds cannot fly, and that is because they are bred to be so big and unnatural. In 1970, they weighed about 17 pounds on average. Now they weigh about 28 pounds on average. They are so massive now that their legs often break, or their skeletons have trouble holding their excess weight from the growth, or they have deformities and leg deformities from all the weight. Factory farms, look up a factory farm video, especially chickens and birds. And egg production, which is extremely cruel, one of the cruelest. And mostly about 35 birds per year of the 37 land animals they consume. So they cannot fly because they are bred to be too big unnaturally in these warehouses, windowless warehouses. The males' feathers are typically red, purple, green, or gold. The head is blue when stressed, and it's red when they're ready to fly or excited. The beak and the skin around it is called a snood, S-N-O-O-D, if I'm pronouncing that correct. Ben Franklin actually wanted the turkey to be the national bird rather than the bald eagle. I'm a pilot myself, a private pilot, C-172 IFR rating. So I have the utmost respect for birds. I go by the nickname Birdman, vegan future. Just so you know. Yep, so Ben Franklin wanted them to be the national bird. They are sacred in ancient Mexican culture, like Mayans and Aztec, according to the site One Kind Planet and History.com. Thanksgiving may have actually had duck, geese, and swans, and not actually turkey, possibly. Look up foie gras, one of the cruelest industries where they force feed and keep them in tiny cages barely bigger than their bodies. That's foie gras. Horribly cruel. It's been outlawed in some states. It should be everywhere. Very cruel. But yeah, they think that they ate duck, geese, and swans as well, at least. In the United States, for Thanksgiving alone, 46 million turkeys are killed. 46 million. And the killing is not usually the worst part. It's how they are raised and live transport, the debeaking, and keeping them in these filthy warehouses overcrowded by the tens of thousands sometimes. So 46 million are killed in the U.S. alone just for Thanksgiving, our way of giving thanks. Yeah. There's 360 million Americans overpopulating, 8 billion people in the world, but or close to it, and 360 million in America, and 46 million birds, so that's one for every 7 to 8 people, about 8 people for birds. They are often debeaked, and sometimes their toes are even cut because they overcrowd them in these factory farm warehouses, and they will fight like people if you overcrowd us. Sometimes they even cut off their toes so they can't use them as weapons. So they're debeaked just like chickens. They're killed after about 5 months, and then they're live transported which is very cruel without food or water in all weather extremes. So after 5 months, they're usually sent to slaughter. And in the wild, they can live about 10 years old. I don't have a problem with that. I think the sooner you get the misery over with, the sooner the better. PETA estimates that 300 million are killed year-round. And 46 million are killed for just Thanksgiving. But 300 million are killed year-round. That's about 3/4 of a bird per person killed a year. Most people eat about 35 birds a year, mostly chickens, and for egg production. They kill them by dunking them in electrified water, stun them before they slit their throats, and then they actually put them in a defeathering tank, a scalding hot water tank to defeather them. Some of them are still alive at that point, or boiled alive like a lobster. So sorry for the sad facts, but it's true. When they breed them, they're manipulated by drugs sometimes, and they only care about maximizing profits. Their business profits become first. So it's sad, 17 pounds in 1970 on average, now 28 pounds on average. So that's the difference between wild and domestic turkeys and parrots. Maybe, since I love birds, maybe I'll do one on pigeons as well in the future. We'll see, or the bald eagle. But hope you enjoyed. Please look up a factory farm video and share and take animals' side. Here's the back of my shirt. Back battery caged eggs. They live in cages the size of a file drawer or a piece of paper per bird. And it takes about a day per egg living in those conditions. And all the males, since they won't lay eggs and are not the type for meat, are ground up alive when they're little hatchlings like this. So, egg industry is very cruel. You can look up the Highline Hatchery video and factory farms. So, thank you for caring, and please share and respect all birds and their freedom. Thank you.